listening to the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS podcast with hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook live show here, breaking down tonight's 8-game main slate. James, my God, we had a little split slate baseball today. 5 games in the afternoon. It's been kind of a little bit of a crazy afternoon. Not too much pitching has come through. A lot of hitting has come through. We'll see what the night slate brings us here, sir.
Yeah, afternoon slate sucked. There's no other way to put it. Sucked. We are on to Cincinnati, on to the evening slate. 8 games. Interesting slate. Another slate with some name value at pitcher, but not anyone that stands out as wow, they've been so incredible this year. No one is above 9,500 on DraftKings, and Eduardo Rodriguez tops the list. So interesting slate. At the very least, we got Coors out of the way early, so we don't have to deal with that because I'm getting sick of it. I mean, can we just ban
you
Coors?
Have 2 games at over 10 totals though on the night slate, which is surprising. The Diamondbacks and the Braves, I guess they're going to look to run it back after scoring 29 runs last night. They have a 10 game total. And then was it San Francisco, Cincinnati? I think also had a 10 game total here tonight. So still going to be some pretty high scoring matchups that we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, there was anytime you get a strikeout that ends up a guy on third base and 2 runs score on that play, there's going to be a lot of runs scored in a game.
Yeah.
As Corbin Carroll made magic happen last night. And, I mean, Ryan Nelson taking the mound in Atlanta on a hot summer day. Graham Ashcraft versus Ross Stripling in Great American. I mean, it's an appealing slate overall.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful there's no Coors. Even give me these 2 games with over 10 totals and don't include Coors because I'm getting sick of it. I mean, I'd rather just at this point play Mexico City games and know that there's going to be 35 runs instead
6
of
home runs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you there. So we'll get into breaking everything down, all of our DFS breakdown. But we got a little RT Sports, real-time fantasy sports, pick 'em plays of the day here. James, we got a nice little sponsor, Real Time Fantasy Sports, 100% deposit match up to $200 using promo code ALARM23 when you go to realtime rtsports.com/alarm. So it's that time of the show where we go ahead and give our favorite plays of the day. So here we are looking at the RT Sports breakdown here for tonight's slate. Interesting matchups that we have. Like we mentioned, some high game totals to be taking a peek at here for everybody. James, if we're starting it off, I think we should look at some of the higher game totals. Arizona, Atlanta for me here. Again, it's a big matchup. You have Ryan Nelson on the mound for Arizona. You have Charlie Morton on the mound for Atlanta here. If we're looking at this game, obviously you have guys like Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, Corbin Carroll, Sean Murphy, some of the more elite players on the slate. No Ronald Acuna, unfortunately, here. But talk to me. If you're looking at this matchup, if you're looking at this game, what's your favorite player prop to go more or less on?
My favorite player prop is going to be Matt Olson over 7.5 fantasy points. He has been the best Brave against right-handed pitching this year. 362 ISO leads the team by a large margin. The 430 WOBA is the number 1 mark on their team, even ahead of Ronald Acuna Jr. He averages over 9 fantasy points a game against right-handed pitching, and Ryan Nelson has struggled against lefties. 243 ISO allowed, 379 WOBA. So I'm locking in Matt Olson more than 7.5 fantasy points.
I like that one a lot. I'm going to go and target the Nationals-Cubs game here for my next favorite play. And this is where I think sometimes you can look and maybe get a little bit of an edge. CJ Abrams is at 9.5 fantasy points here, but half a run. Right. If he's going to get 9.5, he's gonna score. The man is on an absolute tear right now as well. He gets up against Kyle Hendricks. I'm going to go over more than half a run here for CJ Abrams is my play here tonight.
I love that. It's not letting me click it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, did they pull it? Did they just do a live pull on us again?
Yeah, I mean, the guy has been incredible lately. And again, he's coming off a stretch where he won National League Player of the Week. And although he didn't score a run yesterday, of course, 2 fantasy points going 0 for 4. That's great. He had scored 5, 7, 8 runs in the 4 games prior. So,
right.
I love that. CJ Abrams going to lead off in a good spot. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. And you're right. The edge is, I mean, he gets on, he steals a base, he scores a run. You're over 9.5, and you get your over run scored.
Right.
So
I just looked at how high the fantasy point projection was, and it's like, okay, even if he comes in a little bit less, like he's got to be scoring a run, right? Run's got to be coming in here as a leadoff hitter. So I saw that one. I thought there was a little bit of an edge to be had there with the run score prop.
Yeah, I like it.
Any other ones for you on your radar here today?
No, I don't want to force anything. I don't know about you.
The only other one that I had an eye on was Detroit, Kansas City. And that was Bobby Witt 6 fantasy points against Eduardo Rodriguez. We know Bobby Witt's been really good against left-handed pitching. He has the power, can do it in one swing, but he's also a guy that can steal 2 bags. Right. So, I like Bobby Witt more than 6 fantasy points here. So why don't we lock in these 3 plays of the day here for our real-time fantasy sports pick'em plays of the night. Again, go to Fantasy Alarm or go to rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code alarm23. New users will get a 100% deposit match up to $200 there. So go check out real-time fantasy sports if you haven't yet. It's a great opportunity to get in on some action here today. James, that said, let's turn our attention over to the DraftKings slate here. Again, we have 8 games on the main slate here this evening. We went over some of the totals already. Any other interesting spreads to discuss over at Vegas?
Let's see. Charlie Morton, big favorite, and the Braves minus 225. Justin Verlander and the Mets minus 210 on the money line. Nothing else. Nothing else that I see is a motorcycle drives unnecessarily fast by my house, and it's great.
Yeah.
I'm the old man on the porch these days, Sean, so I had to point it out. That's it. Nothing else.
Okay, no problem there. All right, let's get into pitching then. I did the playbook today, and I keyed in on a few different guys here. I really didn't love this pitching slate, to be honest with you. But the first guy that I wrote up tonight was Justin Verlander. I think this is a good spot for Verlander here at home against the White Sox. So a couple of good starts lately. He had a ceiling game a handful of starts ago. And the White Sox are just a team that's trending down. They're without a couple of guys in their lineup here tonight. We know Verlander has a decent strikeout total. He actually has one of the highest strikeout props on the board tonight at 6.5. They're big favorites too tonight. They're minus 230. The Mets, who are not a good baseball team, are big home favorites tonight against the White Sox. And you're getting Verlander at under $9,000. So I was in on Justin Verlander tonight as my favorite starting pitcher.
I mean, I can't fault you for getting to Verlander because you're right. Like, the strikeouts are starting to slowly creep back up, sans that San Diego start.
Right.
Now, like, I don't know, 8,800 feels about as expensive as I'd pay for him because we do need something similar to the San Francisco start at this price. And, he hasn't done this much, but you're right. Like, the White Sox offense has been dreadful. I mean, they were pretty good last night. It is worth noting, like, earlier in the year, right-handers were giving Verlander fits, but all the splits are now trending not in the opposite direction because nobody's really hitting him all that hard. And if you look at the White Sox lineup tonight, Luis Robert and Jake Berger are the only 2 people in this lineup that have good numbers against righties for the entire year. Like, there's not a lot of depth to this lineup. Three
Verlander doesn't give
lefties.
up home runs. The only thing that's really killed him is that he's not getting wins, right? So, like, you look at some of the fantasy production, a lot of no decisions, some losses there. He's 3-5, but if against Milwaukee, he throws 5 shutout innings, they scored 1 run in that game. That's a 20 fantasy point game if you could just, get the win. The Dodgers game, 3 earned, took the loss, but, could have had 17 fantasy points there. So a lot of what ifs. Obviously, you can't give guys just wins to help your argument, but they are expected to win tonight. He is a big favorite. So if you can chalk him up for 4 fantasy points on a win, if you're on FanDuel, he gets you the quality start and he limits the damage. I just, outside of him and Luis Castillo, I'm not like in love with the top tier. Eddie Rodriguez has the Royals. Royals have guys that have been kind of feisty against lefties, and he's been inconsistent since coming back. So, like, do I feel comfortable making him as a top price pitcher tonight? Not entirely. So for me, the top guys I was looking at was Verlander and Castillo. I think the Morton one is interesting because this is a game, again, that is a 10-run total. He has the best win odds over on DraftKings Sportsbook. He's actually minus 110 tonight to get the win. You almost never see a starting pitcher with minus odds to get a win. Usually it's plus something, he's minus 110, but Arizona's an offense that does damage. I don't feel comfortable spending $9,100 on Charlie Morton here. I don't know.
That's giving the Braves offense all the
respect, right?
Yeah, because they get Nelson, who has not pitched. I mean, I guess he was okay against Toronto, but 9 hits. And if he gives up 9 hits against the Braves, it looks like the Mets start where he's out in 3 innings. He got away with, because the Toronto Blue Jays have struggled for a large portion of this year, where 9 hits against the Braves doesn't fly. You're out in 2 innings. You might not even make it out of the first inning if you're giving up 9 hits. So
probably not. Yeah.
I mean, Morton is interesting because he has been so good lately. If you want to get there, it's fine. It is, take it with a grain of salt. Miami, Tampa Bay, Chicago were the last 3 starts. So, is that
he's
the
reason? He's faced Arizona already. He did have 9 Ks in that game, 7 innings, 3 earned. But you want to talk about a guy that's had a nice schedule here. Yeah. Mets, Tigers, Rockies, Reds, who obviously been really good, and the Reds actually got to him. Miami, Tampa Bay, the White Sox. There's a reason he's won 6 in a row, right? Those are some good matchups.
Yeah, he's not my top dog. I do think he has a higher consistent floor than Verlander does for $300 more.
Sure.
So that's probably why I'd rank him a little ahead of Verlander, but I think Castillo is my top pitcher, and the ownership kind of reflects that. He is significantly higher owned than everybody else is projected.
Castillo is, yeah.
Castillo is,
yeah. $9,300 at home against Minnesota. He actually has the highest strikeout prop on DraftKings Sportsbook tonight. It's at 7.5. So yeah, they're which is kind of like a peak strikeout number for him this year. Yeah. He's only gotten over that a few times, but we know Minnesota against righties, they're not hitting anybody. So
yeah, that's just default, right? They see Minnesota against right-handed pitching, default give the opposing pitcher the highest strikeout prop. Yeah.
Yep, 100% here. So I do like Castillo, but look what happened. Of course, I'm like, no, we're stacking against Castillo when it's Houston. He goes 7 shutout innings there. Then Detroit, he follows it back up, and the home runs came back. 2 home runs allowed. The home runs could still be a problem. Minnesota does have guys that have power. It's so frustrating with him.
It is frustrating, but he has largely been good. He has a very good ballpark in his back pocket here.
Yep.
And if you look at his numbers at home this year, they've been significantly better. 2.65 ERA, 192 batting average against. He averages 7 more fantasy points per game at home than he does on the road this year.
Yeah, crazy. But again, just the home run. 9 home runs on his last 5 starts. That's just ridiculous. So, in the mid-tier range, was there anybody that stood out to you? I included Berrios in the cheat sheet. I think it's doable because San Diego's just such a dumpster fire at times. And then you have, Soto and crew go yard and it's over. But he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. So, I kind of took a peek at Jose Berrios here in the mid-tier.
Yeah, I mean, you need to just avoid the lefty power, which is what Jose Berrios has struggled with for the last few years. Last year against lefties, 215 ISO allowed to lefties. This year, 174 ISO allowed to lefties.
Yeah.
Like, only lefties really hurt him. And you look at the Padres lineup, Soto, Cronenworth, Grissom. That's the lefties in their lineup tonight.
Right.
So I do think you can get to Jose Berrios. And I think what Mark is pointing out, I like Carlos Rodon quite a bit in the mid-tier. And I think I like him mostly. And no, I don't think anyone can negate Babe Ruth Ohtani because he's just that good. Seeing a pitcher of his caliber go from 69 to 88 pitches from one start to the next is incredibly encouraging. And as soon as he has one good start, he's 9,500 or above for the rest of the year.
Exactly.
I mean, the Angels do rate out pretty good against left-handed pitching this year.
A lot of that top of that lineup is just a bunch of lefty matchers. They're gonna have Nato, Ohtani, Ward, and Renfroe just ready to go.
Yeah, I mean it's for sure a good lineup. Now, I think it's interesting. Like Ward hasn't had a good year against lefties this year. They're hitting Moniak fourth tonight, and Moniak has 13 total at bats against left-handed pitching this year. I understand he's like otherworldly hot, but 13 at bats against lefties, 0 ISO, 106 WOBA. Like there's a reason why he hasn't been in the lineup against lefties.
Right.
And then Renfroe, the usual lefty masher, like 311 WOBA, 130 ISO. We know Rengifo's had a terrible year. So Nato, Ohtani is very scary for sure at the top because Nato's been so good against lefties and Ohtani's the best player ever. But Rodon was signed for that amount of money because he was how good he was.
Oh, yeah.
So at 8,500, I'm definitely willing to bet on the upside, and I'm definitely also acknowledging that it could blow up in my face. But like you said, there's question marks with Castillo giving up the home run. There's Morton's in a 10.5 run total against one of the best offenses in baseball.
Right.
Justin Verlander is 41 at the end of the day. Like he's 41 and hasn't pitched his best. Like,
so is Rodon your favorite of that group then, or how do you rank them out? Castillo won still.
Castillo won. And in GPPs, probably Rodon too.
Okay.
Truthfully. And then Berrios probably, I'm right there. I'm with you on the Berrios front because I don't think he's going to be snake bit by much if he can avoid Soto pretty much and the occasional Grisham just when he decides to show up.
Yeah.
But I do think Rodon has a high ceiling at 8,500. He's going to throw 90. I mean, if we're seeing a 20 pitch jump, I'm not saying he's going to throw 110 here, but
if you throw 88, there's probably no pitch limit, right?
If you throw 88, you're into the 90s comfortably. You're basically pitching until through 6 and then you're done. There's no all right, 80 or 90 pitches, you're done. You're probably comfortably pitching to how far you can go.
And then the last guy I dumped in the playbook here is Ryan Yarbrough. 3 of his last 4 starts have been pretty good, or appearances at least. 4 innings, 1 earned against Arizona back in the day. Got roughed up by Baltimore, but they hit all lefties. Oakland and Cleveland back-to-back starts for him, and he's pitched really well. This is a guy that looked good for Tampa Bay for a little bit, right?
Yep.
Back in the day for them, working his way back into the rotation. Now, Detroit has some guys that are certainly starting to heat up a little bit. Torkelson, one of them for the power. But on the year and even over the last couple of weeks, sample size-wise, still bottom 20 team batting average, still bottom 20 team in WOBA. Now, they actually have a surprising walk rate. They had a 10% walk rate over the last 30 days against lefties, which is interesting for a team you don't think has great plate discipline. And their strikeout rate's only around 22%. So it's not ridiculously good, but it's $5,500 on a slate where I want to play Braves. And all of the Braves are 6K. So if I'm building out some lineups tonight, maybe the 3 max, I'll probably get a Yarbrough exposure in there.
And you'll get him at 1% owned because that's what he's projected.
I believe
tonight.
it.
So
listen, how many people? What's our Erod? What are people in on Erod tonight?
He is the 5th highest projected owned pitcher. So this is the breakdown. We have 5 pitchers projected over 20% rostered. Castillo, Rodon, Verlander, Morton, Erod. Those are 5 pitchers over 20%. So a lot of
just
mixed.
Can't make up their mind, basically.
Yeah. Yes. Castillo is firmly ahead of the field.
Sure.
And then Rodon and Verlander are both over 30, and then we're floating into the 20% range with Morton and Erod. But then Darvish about 13%, Kenta Maeda 12%, Berrios 6%, and then every other name on this list is 1% rostered. Right. So like there is not a lot of others, and Yarbrough is definitely classified in the. And you look at the others for the rest of the tier, it's like, Maeda you could go to, I guess, but we saw the deficiency he has.
We saw the floor. We've seen the ceiling now. Back-to-back starts for him. So
like you can Hendricks. I mean, what is the upside? I mean, he can't. I know 5 strikeouts in a row in 3 straight starts, but like he has 6 home runs allowed in back-to-back starts, and now has to face the Nationals. No thanks. Yeah. Still Seth not getting deep into games. Toussaint is inevitably going to blow up. He has not been this good in his entire career. Nelson,
we're not touching Stripling or Ashcraft.
Yeah, there's just like the rest of the tier. So I'd be willing to throw a dart at Yarbrough for sure.
Okay, catcher position here again. Top tier Murphy at $5,900. Again, all of the Braves are like $6,000 tonight, so very hard to get there, but that's what they're
worth it. Yeah,
score runs. Rogers 4,200 gets Yarbrough if you're not going down there. Francisco Alvarez coming off of a 2 home run game, kind of like that. Really starting. I mean, dude, 19 home runs already. Like, right? Remember when he wasn't playing? They were like, "Nah, Nito's the guy we want," or whoever it was. Right? Like, just weren't playing him.
Yeah, he's gonna just casually hit 30 bombs this year.
Like out of nowhere. He's like Gary Sanchez, right? Way back in the Yankees, Gary Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez.
Not the current Gary Sanchez. It's probably close to getting DFA'd soon. Let's see. Furman could be interesting. He hits lefties well at 3K.
Yeah, I think both those guys you mentioned, and then I don't know if we have a Giants lineup yet, which is weird because they play so early, but
they just put Crawford on the IL, so I think we might be getting a lineup soon here.
Okay. Well, that would be whoever the catcher for San Francisco is. I would throw in there. Kybert's been really good, John, like really, really good since the break. If you want to like keep on your Nationals,
and nobody ever mentions the play Keibert Ruiz,
No,
so it's like,
no. I mean, 3 straight double-digit fantasy outing games. And
back-to-back games at a home run, like
no one ever mentions them, huh? Is that
anyways? We go down to catcher. Any other guys down here that you want?
No, absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not.
First base. First base here. Ohtani, Olsen.
No. Yeah, let's move on. Nothing to talk about here.
No one ever mentions Keibert Ruiz.
No one ever.
Shout out, Mark. Good call the other day, man. Ohtani, obviously your top guy. Olsen, $6,200. I also like Alonso and Votto. I think they're both there.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be hard not to just plug Olsen in if you can afford it, because he's. What are you going to say?
They're the 10.5 run. They're like the second highest implied. Nelson against lefties is terrible. And he's got a. I mean, they scored 13 runs yesterday, and he had none of it. Right, so like, it just feels like a bounce back spot for him.
Yeah. Again, leads in ISO, leads in WOBA, elite fantasy producer, walks a ton. Truthfully, like. You could probably play the first baseman on the other side for contrarian play who double donged.
A guy who had a big day last.
Double donged yesterday with a stolen base. By the way, just 46 fantasy points, just casually. I played so many shares of Christian Walker.
Has 3 stolen bases over the last 10 games. When did he become a base stealer?
You know why? It's very easy when you hit behind Corbin Carroll and you just double steal. He doesn't even have to worry about it. Like, it's just like. Corbin Carroll is just like, all right, when I run, you run, and
Right.
don't
They're
worry
gonna try
about
to throw out the
sliding.
lead runner. I'm gonna always be safe, and then you get second. Yeah.
Don't worry about sliding. You'll never get your jersey dirty.
Yeah, exactly. I do like Votto and Alonso here under 5K too, if you want to go there. Torque, again, big price dump down, but this is a guy that's, listen, he was one of the top baseball prospects last year. These guys, they don't all just come out of the gate firing, right? They need adjustment periods. They figure it out. The power's starting to come around. Last 10 games, 293, 887. If you're not in on Yarbrough today, there's some guys in Detroit's lineup that can maybe spark some interest for you. So, $3,800 for him. Wilmer Flores might be the hottest hitter in baseball right now. Double donged yesterday, 500 batting average, 1,300 OPS the last 10 for Wilmer at 3,100 in the game that has a 10 over under. And Graham Ashcraft sucks. So, Wilmer could very much be in play.
I'm not going to say thank you to ESPN for giving him second base eligibility for my fantasy team, but I'm also not going to not say thank you.
FanDuel, he's got first, second, and third. So.
I mean, what are we doing? He's been amazing, and he's still free, and there's no reason not to play him when you look at Graham Ashcraft with the reverse splits and everything. Like, he's been bad. Now, he's been bad against everybody, but 184 ISO, 378 WOBA allowed to righties. Righties are crushing Graham Ashcraft.
Yep. Our guy Ice threw in here, shouting out Bielak today. Listen, he in a day where everybody sucks,
the only good pitcher
of
today.
The only one that pitched well. So
in course, go you, John. That was.
Listen, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, right? So
no, hold on. You're definitely a squirrel that has pretty good vision.
I found a few nuts in my life. That's true. A couple of them. All right.
We could just move on to second. We could just move on to second base. What do we do? On to second base here.
Albie, $6,100. Ketel Marte, Gleyber Torres, kind of your top group there. I don't love really any of it. I don't love any of it. Albie's is fine. I like that Morel's back in the lineup. He got scratched yesterday. Now he's in the lineup against Trevor Williams.
Yep.
So I could go back to Morel at 43 here. Cody Bellinger was the cover of the playbook today. We'll talk about Bellinger in a little bit, but if you want to start looking at some Cubbies here against Trevor Williams, Morel probably, even though he's cooled down, needs to be in a lineup if you're doing that.
Yeah, and we've talked about it a couple times. I feel like Trevor Williams is pitching like every other day at this point. I feel like he's been on every stream we've talked about for the last week. But I'll bring it up again. He's been incredibly bad against right-handed batters, 256 ISO allowed, 355 WOBA. Christopher Morel does nothing but hit home runs or strike out against righties. 317 ISO is 100 and 42 points higher than anybody else on his team against right-handed pitching. Yeah. And then a 412 WOBA also clears the field by about 70 points. So, he is significantly better than everyone else in this lineup against right-handed pitching. And Trevor Williams sucks against righties. Cubbies, 5.2 implied runs tonight, John. 5.2 implied runs. That's
I'm telling you, listen, there's a reason Bellinger was on the cover tonight. So I do think Morel can find a way. Again, after that, it kind of falls off. Peraza's leading off for the Yankees tonight, so there's some appeal.
Yeah, third straight game.
Me there. He hasn't obviously been very good, but he can be.
Yeah, he also the 17th was the day he let off. First day they put him in the leadoff spot. He walked 4 times and stole a base. And Colby and I were talking about it yesterday. He felt there's a lot of talk that he felt slighted that Volpe was the one who got the opening day nod over him, and he was just sent to the minors because he was also a top prospect in the system.
Yeah, and
he looked like he didn't care when he first got called up, and then he mashed at AAA, and he seems kind of reinvigorated. So, I think he's interesting because again, a righty on the mound, if he gets on, he's clearly running. So, I think he's very viable at 3K.
Yeah, so the fact that he's leading off, I had interest there. And then I didn't really have anybody else. Rengifo, again, last year he hit lefties. This year he's hitting nobody. So
yeah, I'd rather play Escobar of the two second basemen on the Angels. He's hitting lefties well this year, so like at least there's that. Anything else at this position is a dumpster fire, though.
I agree. Third base. Ellie's here, but so is Christian Encarnacion Strand.
Yep.
Absolutely breaking my heart that he didn't start yesterday, so I benched him in our fantasy league games. And then he hits a pinch hit 3-run home run. So really was a really unfortunate scene here for me as my roto team just goes up and down. Bryce Elder doing me absolutely zero favors yesterday. Need that power. It would be nice to have him in my lineup. He's playing tonight, though. He's hitting 7th, and you can get him for $2,500, or you can spend all the way up on Ellie, Riley, Machado. Morel's also here again if you wanted to go in that direction. I would rather Riley, I think, here. Ellie is just really slumping. Now, can't obviously be electric, for sure. But at $6,400, I kind of wish he was hotter. So,
yes,
he can turn it around at any time. 100% can do. I don't know if that's where I want the money to be spent. Now, if you're stacking Reds, of course, you have to play him. Can't not play Ellie De La Cruz, but it's hard when he and CHS, so CES have the same position. So tough decision-making process there. In the mid-tier, I like Candelario at $3,800.
Yep.
Guy's been on an absolute heater. Might even be traded. And then Michael Garcia is a guy that hits lefties really well. $3,200 for the Royals.
I think that's why the Royals are a little interesting here, because they do have like guys that do hit lefties kind of well. Like this is definitely the better end of their split. And they're getting no ownership, 0. Yeah. So I could definitely get behind some Michael Garcia, Peraza you mentioned, Flores. Like all these guys have multi-position eligibility. Brett Beatty homered yesterday. Yeah. He now has hits in back-to-back games. If you want to go there, like there's a lot of interesting plays. Ultimately, like Encarnacion Strand is probably the top dog at this tier, or at third. Yeah, and Riley's gonna get all the love.
I mean, that home run was a missile.
Yeah,
second deck. Guy hit 35 home runs in the minors last year. It's what he does. Shortstop position here. McLean, Bichette, your top two guys over 5K. I mean, I'm fine going McLean if you're stacking. The Reds are so expensive. Yep. It's very difficult to play them all and play Ellie because you kind of need the value for CES there. So, but if you wanted to spend up $5,700, there's no India in the lineup tonight for Cincy. I kind of go to Bobby Witt. Great numbers against lefties. Has power. Has speed. $4,800 there for him. I know it's not the right split side for Lindor, but I'd be willing to go there for him against Toussaint. So $4,700 for him.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Witt is too cheap under 5K, just given what he can do and what he has done against lefties this year. 235 ISO, 397 WOBA. Hitting. Do we have a Royals lineup? I mean, projected second overall in the Royals lineup. I don't know if that officially has come out yet. I don't think so. No, it hasn't. So him and Michael Garcia could be an interesting little 1-2 stack at the top of the lineup. Love Witt. I do like Lindor because Touki Toussaint is not any good. And I've said it a bunch, but Lindor has historically been good when the weather heats up. And as a Yankees fan, I remember the years of Mark Teixeira where he hit 150 in the first 2 months. Yeah. And we just had to deal with it because he was going to hit 40 home runs due to 35 from June to August every year. So Lindor hitting 308 in his last 10 games. I know he only has one hit since the break, but went into the break incredibly hot, and he's stolen 4 bases in his last 10. So I could definitely get to Lindor. Other than that, though,
there wasn't a lot down here. You could take a shot at Volpe hitting 5th tonight.
It's probably Volpe, Abrams, Nato, all in that next tier,
yeah,
right?
So that's the playbook today actually has those 4. Volpe, Abrams, Crawford, and Nato. So
all of which are good, solid plays.
Yeah, 100%. Crawford's still on a little bit of a heater for him. Volpe's probably like the worst current form play, but he's hitting fifth. Again, Nato hit leading off, and then we talked about Abrams. I mean, Abrams is actually the guy in my lineup because I can't quit my Cubs, my Nationals stacks rather. So I have a little Candelario, Abrams, Menisi's little build, for some value on this slate tonight. But I'm a big Abrams guy here tonight as well. So outfielders: Ohtani, Acuna, the crew, Carroll.
The crew. Yeah, all.
Any neglecting on this group here?
No, I mean, look, from now on, I'm not neglecting. I don't care. I'm not going to say I'm not going to play any of them because anytime Acuna's been in a tough spot, he's like hit a home run and stolen a base in a game. So I'm done saying that.
That's lineups out. No surprises. Those who are curious. So
who's
Abrams
lineup?
leading off. That's all that matters.
Abrams leading off. That's all that matters, right? Kyber Ruiz, the guy that no one mentions, hitting fifth as well.
Yep.
In that lineup.
Yep.
I mean, I'm okay getting to any and all of these guys. Corbin Carroll didn't hit a home run yesterday and had 33 fantasy points. In case you want to know what his upside can be, I mean, Acuna, Ohtani. I'd play all of them. I think Acuna is my favorite of the three. I think he'll probably be the most popular of the three, too. I'm trying to get ownership, but it's not loading for me, so I can't exactly do that for us. But I think Acuna would be 1, Carroll 2, Ohtani 3 if I had to rank.
Okay. I'm not going to sit here and fight that. That all sounds pretty good to me. Down in the mid-tier range, low 5Ks, up 4Ks. The Cincy outfield will all play. I like Lane Thomas even tonight, even though it's a righty versus righty spot for him there. Julio Rodriguez, talent is over a 5K player, and he's only at 4,800 tonight, so willing to give some looks to him there. Mentioned Friedel, but Bellinger at 4,400 is just not. It's too cheap. Doesn't really make any sense to have Cody Bellinger a price drop after he has a 12 fantasy point game. So he was the cover today. He's exactly where I'm going with lineups.
I mean, not only the 12 fantasy point game, like we've now had 4 double-digit fantasy point games in his last 5, 3 home runs over that span, 5 runs scored over that span. Brandon Nimmo, Michael Harris. Nimmo is the second highest projected outfielder of the day, by the way.
That's so. I like Harris for the wraparound on Atlanta. He's hitting in front of Acuna, so
yep.
I would go Harris for the Braves stacks here tonight.
He's also been better. Nimmo's been really bad.
Yeah, I would go Harris. He's a stud.
I'd also go Harris if I was picking someone in one of those two.
Yep. So. Harris for sure, Bellinger, Friedel, all in that tier for me here. Guys under 3,500, which ones are jumping out to you here?
Under 3,500, Michael Conforto right off the bat. He is the cover of our stream that was created today in Cincinnati. Gets the matchup against Ashcraft. He's been really good against righties. 187 ISO, 344 WOBA.
Look at the road splits.
The road splits. I mean,
and an 886 when he's outside of San Francisco. So.
I know. You get him away from San Francisco. They're just like cheap in general. If you wanted a really cheap stack, Yastrzemski is $3,000. And I know it shows that he's struggling, but he has been like okay since the break. Has 3 of the last 4 games with 8 or more fantasy points.
Another guy, 8 of his 11 homers on the road,
is again free for no reason.
The free has been the name of the Giants all season long outside of Thairo Estrada, right? He's been the only guy that's been priced up all season.
Yeah. How about this, John? Jake McCarthy leading off tonight.
That is juicy. So who's not playing for them today?
Let's look at the Arizona lineup.
I got it right
tonight.
here on the screen. Little DraftKings lineup here.
So they're not leading.
Nick Ahmed is playing, so no Perdomo.
Yeah, Geraldo. Yeah, no Perdomo. Yep. No Perdomo.
I mean, that's super appealing. I wonder what the Jake McCarthy. If I was in like a live betting draft tonight, maybe like some Jake McCarthy stolen bases could be interesting.
That could be interesting if you were, but you're not.
I'm not.
So,
if somebody was participating,
if somebody
was participating
on this show,
if
somebody was in a live betting draft, yes,
could be interesting.
Could be interesting.
Will Benson hit 9th.
Will Benson also hit a home run yesterday again because Will Benson just seemingly
hits a good player, and they just
yeah. I mean, he's the only one you can afford too in Cincinnati. Like, if you want to just like play, like if you want ways to afford Cincinnati, Will Benson's definitely him and a CES little stack, hitting 7 and 9, both under 3K. That's a little appealing.
Giants lineup is out. Peterson, Yaz, Flores, Conforto, Matos hitting 5th. Sabal, Villar, Wisely, and Schmidt. So Villar in the lineup here tonight for them.
It's a righty bat. That's interesting. He's been he hasn't played since June 22nd.
Yeah. They moved Schmidt over to shortstop because of Crawford being out. So needed a third baseman tonight.
Poor Casey Schmidt has been just
he got off to a hot start. And then he hasn't hit.
He has not. I don't think he's gotten
to bring his bat to the plate. Poor
give him
guy. A chance. Edward Olivares down here. That's a lefty. To do that.
Edward Olivares. Yep. Where is he hitting? 5th.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's hitting 5th. Like he hits.
They haven't given us a lineup yet. I don't think. I'll refresh.
Yeah. No. We have Royals.
We have Royals? I just refreshed.
I thought we did.
I'll just refresh. He's 2,600. No, at least DraftKings isn't showing it if we have it.
Yeah, no Royals. I just looked through as well. No Royals yet.
Kiermaier, Grisham, Sheets is 2,200. Oscar Colas is 2,100. There's a lefty bat for you. Alex Call was the guy I wanted to mention. Alex Call, 257, 876 OPS the last 10 games. 3 homers, 3
speed. Yeah, a little speed for Alex Call too.
Little speed, a little power. 6 homers, 9 stolen bases on the year. So
little speed, little power, like that.
So that was.
Would you play Matos? Matos hitting 5th?
Good. I think if you go on Fantasy Alarm, you look at our Vegas totals, team implied run totals. The Giants, I think, are like 2nd. So right up there. I like him hitting 5th tonight. That's not bad.
Yeah, 5 over almost 5.5 implied runs.
So that's what we got here. Let's go over, talk about our home run calls here, James. A little Grande's gems. What do we got for us tonight?
Home run call is going to be, I mean, I could just say a Brave, but I don't want to.
Okay.
Because, like, I could just sit here and say, yeah, Matt Olson's getting a home run. But, like,
Good.
Why would we do that? Like, that's not the juicy stuff that people come to see. You know what? I'm going to go with a Cub. I'm going to go Christopher Morel. He's going to go yard tonight.
Well,
hitting 6th.
That's fine. Bellinger was the cover of my playbook today, so Bellinger is where I am going. So we're going to double up on the Cubs for our home run call. Give me your top stack of the night.
All right, this is where I'll go Braves because I'm not like home run call. Like you could pick any of the Braves. I'm just going to go Braves as my top stack tonight.
Braves are your top. I will go. Yes. The Braves are definitely the number 1 stack. So
just say the Braves and then go with a different contrarian.
I agree with you on the Braves. Who's your contrarian stack then?
I'm gonna go with the Giants. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Giants. I'm trying to look to see.
I got the Nationals. We have a shocker. Everybody watching.
So I was. Let me look at the ownership real quick. They're gonna be highly owned. I'm gonna pivot to the Cubs. Because we both just took 2 home runs from the Cubs. Like we can't not have the Cubs. Sure. Ownership, no one's playing Washington. Everyone's seemingly playing the Giants. I'm going to pivot to the Cubs as my contrarian stack.
All right. Well, I got Washington. You have the Cubs. That's fine. I like them both. It's a good game. Bad pitching. Trevor Williams, terrible. Kyle Hendricks, not very good either. Value play of the day for you.
CES, Christian Encarnacion strain.
I'm going to go with CJ Abrams for me.
It's a good one. I mean, it correlates with your stack.
Correlates with the stack. Start of the day.
Star of the day. I'm going to go Carlos Rodon as my star of the day.
Ronald Acuna.
Yeah, that's a good that's a good one.
Not going to pull punches here. Guys in a 10 game run total here. Ronald Acuna against Ryan Nelson. GG's. All right, let's build our lineup. Let's get it done. Where are we going? I want to play Verlander. I think Verlander is in a great spot tonight.
Let's play him.
Who's our SP2?
I mean, if we want to play Braves, we're doing something stupid. I will. At shortstop, we play CJ Abrams, right, to provide us some value.
Yep, CJ Abrams.
Third base, we probably play Encarnacion Strand, right? So that gives us value.
I was very upset. I typed
yes.
It didn't give me. Wait, why is it not giving me? I can't just type Strand in here.
Encarnacion. You got to type Encarnacion. There you go.
So annoying.
We're
catcher, Alvarez.
Yeah. 3,600 provides even more value.
Yeah. We're gonna try to jam Olsen in here, right?
I mean, I was thinking. I mean,
were you thinking Wilmer?
Only because you wanted to play your start of the night was Acuna, so I figured we'd play Acuna. But we could also play
Bellinger, Morel
at second, and then Conforto, or McCarthy, one of the two. Oh, we can't afford anybody at 72. I mean, we can't. Oh. $1,700 gets us to.
We can't even play Sean Murphy.
I know. I was gonna say, you go up from Conforto there to the 5K land to like Lane Thomas or Friedel or Michael Harris.
Yeah, let's go Michael Harris. Why not?
We'll still have 900 beans.
Yeah, fine. We can play around with it. All right, we won't get crazy then. So let's go Flores here. And
then you can get Castillo right there.
Conforto, right?
Yep. We'll still actually be able to spend up somewhere. We're still gonna have $1,000.
Actually, if we can, is Harris? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
I'm good. You got a 2-man 9-1 stack for Atlanta. We got a one-off for Alvarez. We got Abrams and CS as value. Morel, Bellinger for the Cubs, and Wilmer Flores getting us the other side of that Cincy game. So I don't mind it. That's a look at what we got going on here today for the MLB DFS show. James and I, big surprise for everybody tuning in here. We'll be live tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Eastern time because we have a little day baseball on Thursday. The DraftKings, we don't know yet, but MLB is giving us a 12:30 start for some of these games here. And then the evening is like a 6:30, an 8, and a 9 o'clock game. So we are expecting the main slate to be afternoon baseball. So we will be here live for all of you in the morning, 9 o'clock Eastern time, breaking down the slate, answering your questions, building lineups, just like we do every day at 5 o'clock. But we're going to be live in the morning. So we'll have our coffees ready and we'll be ready to go with all of you here. Any final thoughts, words, advice for the people at home here, James?
Didn't even think of Kyber Ruiz this whole stream, by the way.
Not Kyber Ruiz even cross my mind. That is true. But I do like Washington here. So if we, if you want to do a Kyber, Abrams, Meneses call, that's fine. Mark knows how I like my coffee because he once spilt coffee all in the front seat of my car. It was terrible. It stained the interior, and I had to pay to fix it. So,
well, would he know? He wouldn't.
He did reimburse me for it, so it's fine.
Very nice, Mark. But would he know how you take your coffee if it was spilled all over your car? Because
he was in the passenger seat, and I was like, "Here, hold the tray of coffee." He's like, "Yeah, no problem." He just took the lid off and dumped it on the seat. I think basically, that's just my guess on how that experience happened. But anyways, so we'll be here in the morning breaking down the slate for everybody. Then, so for James and I, good luck tonight. We'll be in the Discord to roster lock. Find us on Twitter as well. Give us a follow, like, and subscribe to the show if you are tuning in and haven't done so already. James and I do this every day. We have 1 billion live streams going out each day, and it's fantasy football season. So, we have the fantasy football season coming out. The fantasy football draft guide is live and available for everybody here who wants to get ready for the fantasy football season. FaceTime.com/draft guide. If you have a subscription, it comes free. If you don't have a subscription yet, FaceTime.com/all-pro. Promo code MLB50, NFL50, you name it, whatever. It's 50% off for the first 6 months there. And it comes with a 7-day free trial and access to the draft guide. So check all of that out. James, I'll be back tomorrow. Good luck.